New York City, 1940, 2 in the morning. The city that never sleeps is finally quiet, drowned out by the relentless rhythm of the rain. I'm up here on the 4th floor, just me and a bottle of cheap scotch and a case that won't crack itself. Welcome to the night shift. October 24th, 1940, 2:05 a.m. The rain is hammering against the window pane. Patter, patter, splash. It's a heavy, cold rain. I walked over to the window and peered through the slats of the Venetian blinds. Rattle, snap. The street below is empty, just slick black asphalt reflecting the street lamps like a mirror. A lone taxi splashes by, its tires hissing on the wet road. Whoosh! I let the blinds snap back into place. The office is dim, lit only by the single desk lamp that casts long, sharp shadows across the room. 2:15 a.m. I sat down in my creaky wooden swivel chair. Creak, groan. It leaned back with a familiar complaint. On the desk sits my typewriter, a heavy black underwood. I picked up a fresh sheet of paper. It's crisp and white. I rolled it into the machine. Ratchet, roll, click. The sound is mechanical and precise. I stared at the blank page for a moment, listening to the hum of the electric fan in the corner. Then I began to type. 2:30 a.m. Clack, clack, clack. Ding! The keys strike the paper with a sharp staccato rhythm. Case number 409. Subject, the missing emerald. Slide, zip. I push the carriage return. Clack, clack, clack. The sound of a typewriter is the heartbeat of this office. It's a productive noise. I pause to rub my eyes. My fingers are stained with ink ribbon. I took a sip of my coffee. It's gone cold, sitting in the ceramic mug for hours. Slurp. It's bitter and black, just enough to keep the eyelids open. 2:45 a.m. I open the top drawer of my desk. Rumble, slide. It's filled with clutter, paper clips, matches, loose change. I dug around until I found my silver lighter. Clink, jingle. I picked it up, feeling the smooth metal cool against my palm. I flicked the lid open. Cling. I spun the wheel. Fzzzt, whoosh. A small orange flame danced in the stagnant air. I didn't light anything. I just watched the flame flicker, mesmerized. It's a small piece of warmth in a cold night. I snapped the lid shut. Clack. 3 a.m. I picked up the manila folder labeled Evidence. The cardboard is rough under my fingertips. I untied the string that held it closed. Rustle. Unwind. I spread the contents out on the desk. Black and white photographs, handwritten notes, newspaper clippings. I moved them around like puzzle pieces. Slide. Shuffle. The photos show a rainy street, a blurry figure, a broken lock. I picked up my magnifying glass. The heavy glass lens magnified the grain of the photo. I leaned in close, the smell of old paper and rain filling my nose. 2:15 a.m. The rain is intensifying outside. Thunder rumbling in the distance, low and rolling. Not scary, just heavy. Rumble. The lights in the office flickered for a second. Bzzzt, then steadied. I took a deep breath. The air in here is thick with dust and the faint scent of rain coming through the cracks. I leaned back, putting my feet up on the desk. Thump. Just for a minute, just to think. The typewriter sits silent now, waiting for the next sentence. October 24th, 1940, 3:30 a.m. I need to check the safe. I walked over to the corner of the room, behind the coat rack. There sits my old iron safe, painted black and chipped with age. I knelt down on the wooden floor. Creak, thud. I spun the combination dial. Whir, click, whir, click. The mechanism is heavy and oiled. I feel the tumblers falling into place. Ka-chunk. I pulled the heavy handle down. The door swung open with a low metallic groan. Grrr. Inside, it smells of cold steel and secrets. 3:45 a.m. I reached inside and pulled out a small velvet-covered box. It's midnight blue, soft to the touch. Brush. Rub. I carried it back to the desk, placing it under the harsh light of the lamp. I opened the lid. Snap. Inside lies a silver pocket watch. It's broken, stopped at exactly 10:10. I picked it up. It's heavy, cold silver. I ran my thumb over the cracked glass face. Squeak, squeak. The glass is smooth but fractured. I wound the stem just to see. Click, click, click. Nothing. It remains frozen in time. 4 a.m. My throat is dry. The coffee is gone. I opened the bottom drawer of my desk. Rumble, clunk. I pulled out a bottle of amber liquid and a heavy crystal tumbler. I uncorked the bottle. Pop. A faint scent of oak and vanilla drifted up. I poured a small measure into the glass. Glug, glug, glug. The liquid swirled, catching the light. I set the bottle down. Thump. I took a sip. It burned pleasantly on the way down, a warm fire in the chest to combat the cold rain outside. 4:15 a.m. I decided to look at the city map. I unrolled a large, crinkled map of New York City on top of the scattered photos. Crinkle, rustle, snap. The paper is thick and stiff. I smoothed it out with my palms. Swish, swish. I picked up a red grease pencil. I need to trace the route. I drew a circle around Brooklyn Heights. Scritch, scratch. The wax pencil dragged across the paper with a soft, friction-heavy sound. I drew a line connecting the harbor to the warehouse district. The mystery is in the geography. 4:30 a.m. The rain shows no sign of stopping. If anything, it's harder now. I walked to the window again. I leaned my forehead against the cool glass. I can feel the vibration of the thunder through the pane. Hum. Rumble. A police siren wailed in the distance, lonely and mournful. Woo, woo. It faded away into the night. I watched a drop of water race down the outside of the glass. It merged with another, then another. Just like clues. Separate, they mean nothing. Together, they become a torrent. October 24th, 1940. 4:45 a.m. The pieces finally fit. I walked back to the desk, my shoes scuffing against the wooden floorboards. Scuff, step, scuff. I sat down heavily. Creak. I pulled the half-written page out of the typewriter. Zip, rip. I crumpled it into a ball. Crinkle, crunch, and tossed it into the metal wastebasket. Clang. I inserted a fresh sheet. Roll. Click. Now I write the truth. 5 a.m. Clack, clack, clack. Ding! My fingers are moving faster now. The rhythm of the keys matches the rhythm of the rain. The emerald was never stolen. It was moved. Slide. Zip. I paused to light a cigarette. Vzzt. Poof. The smoke curled up into the cone of light from the desk lamp, blue and swirling. I took a long drag, then exhaled slowly. I placed the cigarette in the glass ashtray. Tap, tap. Back to typing. The sound is hypnotic, like a machine gun firing in slow motion. 5:15 a.m. The report is done. I pulled the final page out. Zip.
I gathered the stack of papers and tapped them on the desk to align the edges. Tap, tap, tap. I reached for the stapler. It's a heavy iron swing line. Ka-chunk. The metal staple bit through the paper with a satisfying crunch. I placed the report into a clean manila envelope. Slide. Rustle. I wound the string around the button closure. Loop, loop, loop. Sealed tight. 5:30 a.m. It's time to file the old evidence away. I walked over to the tall gray metal filing cabinet in the corner. It stands like a sentinel. I grabbed the handle of the top drawer. Clank. I pulled. Rumble. Slide. The drawer rolled out on heavy steel bearings. It's packed with hanging folders. I ran my fingers along the tabs. A, B, C, flick, flick, flick. The stiff paper tabs make a sharp, dry sound. I found M for missing persons. I dropped a file in. Plop. 5:45 a.m. Before I close up, I need to clean the typewriter keys. The E is sticking again. I took a small bristle brush and a rag. Scrub, scrub. I worked the ink and dust out of the metal crevices. It's dirty work, but necessary. A detective is only as good as his tools. I wiped the black ink from my fingers with the rag. The smell of oil and ink is strong, the perfume of the trade.
October 24th, 1940, 6 a.m. The rain has finally stopped hammering. Now it's just a soft, rhythmic drizzle. I stood up and stretched. Crack, pop. My back is stiff from the wooden chair. I walked over to the window. I pulled the cord of the Venetian blinds. Rattle, clatter, snap. The slats tilted open, letting in the gray, washed-out light of dawn. The street below looks clean, scrubbed by the storm. A milk truck rumbled by, its engine coughing in the cold air. Chug, chug, chug. 6:15 a.m. The air in the office is stale. Cigarette smoke and old coffee. I need to breathe. I unlatched the heavy window lock. Click, clack. I gripped the sash handles and heaved it upwards. Erg. Slide. Bang. The window groaned in its tracks, but opened. A blast of cold, damp air rushed in. Whoosh. It smells of wet asphalt in the Hudson River. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the city. Inhale, exhale. It wakes you up faster than whiskey. 6:30 a.m. I turned back to the desk. It's time to close up shop. I picked up the empty crystal glass. I wiped it clean with my handkerchief. Squeak, squeak. No fingerprints. I placed it back in the drawer next to the bottle. Clink. I checked the safe one last time. I spun the dial to scramble the combination. Whir, whir. Locked tight. The secrets are safe until tonight. 6:45 a.m. The electric fan in the corner has been humming all night. I walked over and switched it off. Click. The blades slowed down gradually. Whir, whir, wub, wub. Silence. Sudden, heavy silence. Without the white noise of the fan and the rain, the office feels incredibly still. I can hear the ticking of my own wristwatch now. Tick, tick, tick. 7 a.m. I walked over to the coat rack. I grabbed my trench coat. It's heavy wool, damp from the night before. I slid my arms into the sleeves. Rustle, swish. I buttoned it up to the chin. Button, button. I picked up my fedora hat and placed it on my head, tilting the brim down just enough to shade my eyes. Tap. I checked my reflection in the glass of the office door. Tired, but still standing.
October 24th, 1940. 7:15 a.m. One last look. The desk is clear. The secrets are locked away. I walked over to the desk lamp, the single eye that watched me work all night. I reached for the pull chain. Click. The yellow circle of light vanished, leaving the room in gray shadows. Now it's just an empty office again. Dust motes dancing in the morning light. 7:30 a.m. I walked to the door with the frosted glass pane. In reverse, I can read the black letters painted on the other side. Private Investigator. I grabbed the brass doorknob. It's cold and solid. Rattle. Turn. The door opened with a familiar squeak. Squeak. I stepped out into the hallway. The air out here smells of floor wax and old timber. 7:45 a.m. I pulled the door shut behind me. Thud. The sound echoed down the empty corridor. I fished my keys out of my pocket. Jingle, jingle. I found the small brass key for the office door. I slid it into the lock. Scrape, click. I turned it twice. Clack, clack. Locked. I gave the knob a firm shake just to be sure. Rattle. It held fast. 8 a.m. I began the long walk down the stairs. The elevator is broken again, as usual. My footsteps echoed on the linoleum steps. Clump, clump, clump. It's a lonely sound. I passed the janitor mopping the second floor. Swish, swish. We nodded at each other. No words needed. We are both creatures of the off hours. 8:15 a.m. I reached the lobby. The mail slots are empty. I walked to the heavy double doors that lead to the street. I pushed the brass bar. Creak, whoosh. The city noise hit me instantly. Honk, rumble, chatter. The rain has stopped, leaving a fine mist in the air. The pavement is wet and black. I pulled my collar up tight. 8:30 a.m. I stood under the awning for a moment, lighting a final cigarette. Strike, flare, puff. I watched the smoke mix with the steam rising from the manholes. New York is waking up. The mystery is solved. The report is filed. I stepped out onto the sidewalk, merging with the flow of the morning crowd. Just another face in the rain.